Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another 2024 election prediction. Today, we'll be doing an election prediction between Senator Josh Hawley and Vice President Kamala Harris. I would like to mention before the video starts, this prediction, as well as all the predictions that I make, are based off of where we are at right now in the country. So, this obviously, is not going to be the exact same prediction for 2024 that I would make probably in 2024, unless things don't change. However, the state of the country, Kamala Harris had record low disapproval. Republicans doing very, very well nationwide, down ballot, across the board, what we saw in Virginia. So I do think, and I will put them at an advantage in this prediction that I'd like to mention before I make the video. And that is just based off of how they appear and how the parties appear in vulnerability and power at the moment. And before I start, please make sure to go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are nearing 100, not 100, 250 subscribers. So let's get all the way to 250,000 subscribers. That'll be awesome. So go ahead and make sure to subscribe to the channel. But without further ado, let's get right into safe Democrat races. I just include the East Coast because I don't really want to go into depth about things. But there's not really much need anyway. But it will be safe Democrat 180, safe Republican going across this as well. Middle of the country. Go across, and here you go. Safe Republican races. I'm going to add a few Republican states that I do believe will be safe in 2024 if Josh Hawley were to go into Kamala Harris. Josh Hawley from Missouri, that has that rural industrial Rust Belt appeal. It has that northern Rust Belt industrial farming appeal. Josh Hawley, very, very popular in Missouri, and I do think that he will do good in some states similar to that appeal. He'll also do very good with suburban women and whatnot. But with that, I think that Iowa will be a safe Republican state in 2024 if this is the case. I also see Maine's 2nd Congressional District being a safe Republican state. These states went to Trump by significant margins back in 2016 and in 2020, even against somebody like Biden, who is more moderate. Hawley has that appeal, similar to Trump being from Missouri. Is able to relate to the farmers, is able to relate to a lot of the industrial factory workers, and has that proximity, understanding the issues of those states, being from Missouri, and has that appeal. And Harris, definitely more of that West Coast appeal, not really much appeal nationwide, actually. And I do think that she'll do pretty poorly against somebody like Josh Hawley, and I do think she comes off as off-putting, as we can see reflected in her approval rating, which is a awfully terrible 28% approval rating, which is just incredibly bad for a vice president to have. I mean, we've never had a vice president with an approval rating that low. So I do think that Josh Hawley will do particularly well against Harris. The only likely state will be Maine's 1st Congressional District. Actually, there'll be one more in Colorado. Colorado continues to shift to the left. I don't really see being much of a bounce back even in 2024, even as vulnerable as the Democrats are. And with a candidate like Harris, I still see it being a likely Democrat race. Likely Republican races. This will include Texas, Ohio, and Florida. Florida will also be a likely Republican race in this scenario. I see Florida going to Josh Hawley, 7 points, 8 points maybe. That falls in the likely category. That comes from an increased trend to the right. We see DeSantis consolidating significant amounts of support in Florida among Hispanics. We saw that with Trump and his great ground game. That's just how it was in Florida. He had a really good ground game there, and you saw that shift in Miami-Dade County with a lot of Hispanics. It went to Clinton by about 60-40. Biden more like 65-35 Biden. Now 55-45, even smaller than that, even more like 53-47 in Miami-Dade. So you've seen that consolidation increase support for Republicans among Cubans, Venezuelans, a lot of those Hispanic voters that kind of experienced communism firsthand, and Republicans are able to correlate Democrats to communists, if you see it like that. Now, for lean Democrat states, let's get to those. That'll still be the state of Virginia and New Mexico, as well as, actually, you know what, that'll be the only lean Democrat states. Virginia still trends to the right. I guess, Glenn Youngkin, that was an off-year election. Democrats were, it was probably the worst time Terry McAuliffe could have, the worst day for election day Terry McAuliffe could have had it on, because the Democrats were just, and still are, I mean, I guess it's still carrying through, but have that incredible unpopularity, not just from the withdrawal from Afghanistan, economic numbers, Also they ran on critical race theory and parents. He was able to get a lot of suburban women voting. If you look at the suburban women exit polls, significantly shifted towards, from Trump at least, Trump versus Biden, the Democrats to Republicans ratio shifted much more in favor of Glenn Youngkin, and you saw that incredible shift, which gave Glenn Youngkin the victory in Virginia. But that was a one-time election, and I still think Democrats will still win the state of Virginia more often than not. As we head into tilt Republican states. Actually, no, my bad. Lean Republican states. Lean Republican states will include North Carolina, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, and New Hampshire. Josh Hawley will win a slew, actually, and also Nebraska's 2nd Congressional District. Josh Hawley will sweep up these lean Republican states. All of these will go in Josh Hawley's margin. Arizona will come back to the Republicans. You saw Trump only lose by 0.3% against Biden, and that was when Biden was frankly at highest popularity, and all of the chaos going on during that time in the country, 2020, November. You can just imagine, if we look back a year, there's so many concerns that people were having. And now, definitely more directed towards the Democrats. And you can see, and I do see those shifts, especially like Arizona and Georgia. I don't think that they are as far to the left or as trending as far to the left as fast as we think. I think they can trend back to the right. They can flip back to the right. I think we'll see that happen in 2024 in this scenario. North Carolina, higher proportion of Republicans and Democrats will see that happen as well. And the Rust Belt has continued to trend to the right as probably since around 2012. New Hampshire tends to, when you look at the type of candidates they tend to elect, that actually kind of falls in Josh Hawley's wheelhouse. People like Chris Sununu. Josh Hawley does have similarities with him, and is able to kind of have that Northeastern appeal, especially with New Hampshire voters that kind of vote Democrat, Republican. They tend to flip back and forth, which is a bit interesting. Now we'll actually head over to some tilt Democrat races. I see that Minnesota will remain a tilt Democrat race. Harris will still hold on to the state of Minnesota, as well as Maine at large. However, Hawley will win Michigan and Nevada, getting 317 electoral votes, defeating Kamala Harris in a not blue, in a not a landslide election, obviously, but a solid win for Republicans, greater than Trump in 2016. A major victory for the Republicans. Josh Hawley goes on to become the 47th president of the United States of America, serving until January 20th, 2029, unless he decides to run for re-election. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching that video. Please let me know if you disagree with any of the calls below and what you would switch, or if you agree with everything, that's awesome as well. Make sure to subscribe, like the video, and that's about it. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day. See you soon.